the human is the most destructive. Animal kills only when he's hungry. Man kills just for the fun of it and to get power, to get you out of their way or whatever reason, for the money.
Hi everybody.
Hello everyone.
Today we're going to answer a lovely question that we got from Tony. I have written about this in my book, so I go into a lot more detail in more than one of my books actually, but this is the question. You say all life is sacred, and I also believe that. But I also wonder about how lots of life kills and eats other lives. Doesn't it seem like the whole world is set up that way? Do you think humans are set apart from that? Now, this is a wonderful question. It's really chunky, something to really bite into. Because, first of all, there's no denial from us that if you go out in nature and you're an observant person, you will see that nature is extremely violent. Wherever you go, animals are either continuously having to watch their back or they're out to stab somebody in their back. That's the way things are. That's the way the balance of nature works at the moment. We are living in an incredibly violent world on all levels. There's violence, not only within human society, but out in nature too. And I think a lot of people will look at that and use the fact that nature is violent as an excuse or a reason as to why it's okay for them to be doing the same thing.
To be violent as well.
That's normal. That's what's happening everywhere. So therefore my violent actions are justified. But that's an incredibly shallow way of looking at things. That's using the violence of others as an excuse to be violent yourself. And I think anybody who steps back away from things can see that there's something wrong with doing that. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, Tony, that you're doing that, but you are questioning just why things are as they currently are. I think primarily we have to understand that we are a species which in many ways has a dominion over other species. But dominion doesn't mean what a lot of people interpret it to mean. It doesn't mean that we are here to take care of the animals in the sense that the mafia might take care of Giuseppe, who's been a thorn in their side. That's not what taking care of animals means. Having dominion means that we look out for them. We look out for their better interests. We go out there and if we see an animal in nature that's suffering in some way, we have a moral duty to step in and do something about it, to try and help them in some way. Our moral duty isn't to think, opportunistically, I'm going to jump on that animal and eat that animal because he's struggling or that baby's lost her mother. Therefore, we're going to eat that baby because the baby's been abandoned. That's not being true to our hearts. So we may think that nature or being natural is following what nature does, but being natural is doing what's natural to our hearts. That's the truth. And we're not following our hearts if we're looking up to other animals as role models for us. And the other thing is that out in nature, there are animals that are victimized and there are animals that victimize and there are animals that do both. Does that mean that we have to fit into the category of being either victimizing or doing both? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. We are separate and we are a unique species given this unique ability to philosophize, to think about life, to recognize that we are more than just an animal. And if we can do that, we can realize that we don't have to fall into that pattern. We don't have to be the victim. We don't have to victimize. We don't have to be doing either of those.
Yes. Look, I don't know how lion feels when he goes to hunt. But I know how I would feel if I go to hunt. I would never know how lion really feel. but I will always know how I feel. And this is important to live. So you have a clean conscience, because we have a conscience. You can't deny that. And people know it's wrong to kill animals. That's why if they meet a vegan, they start making excuses for themselves, explaining themselves. They even nobody questioned them anything about it. They straight away showing the guilt. They feel guilty because their conscience is not clear, can't be clean. Nobody who killed have a clean conscience. And if they tell me they do, I know they're lying or they mentally ill. They're not aware of those things. There is no any other way to have it. And that's what I do all my life. If I do something when I was a little kid and I lied because I was afraid, I felt so bad about it. And anything what we do wrong, we feel it, we know it. So if you play ignorant and telling me you don't feel those things or you don't know those things, I won't believe you. Because I learned also that a lot of people, they prefer to lie than face the truth and the reality. Because if they do, they will have to do changes in their lives. And for most of people, that's something they can't even imagine. It's not comfortable for them, just that thought. Because that's another way we were brought up, to just stick to your elders, to your culture, to your beliefs, and never think otherwise. Never question nothing. I was brought in a way not to question nothing, the whole society. But because I'm naturally very curious, maybe every human is, but I let my curiosity be free. And I read a lot of things. I spoke with a lot of people. And that's the way to learn. Go for to better yourself.
I want to add that one. Some people grow up regularly witnessing animals being killed, and that desensitizes them to the act. But the first time they witness an animal being killed, even if they can't remember that first time, that little child is going to feel fear when they watch it. There's going to be this terror inside them. But because that's how they're brought up, they are conditioned to not feel that fear. They become desensitized towards it. So there are people out there that would say they don't feel any guilt when they do it because they think that what they're doing is natural. That's what they will argue. But the truth is that they've forgotten what they feel. And it's been covered up by this desensitizing of this world. And they are suffering even if they don't realize it.
They don't know why.
They don't know why. They don't know why.
Yeah. But not everybody is like that. Not everybody gets sucked in, so to speak.
Most people don't. Most people actually
I met people
are never exposed. They're not exposed to that violence. And they're just told, you're an apex predator. You have to eat animal flesh because that's what apex predators do. And they will argue that. They will come and say, I'm an apex predator. That's why I'm doing it. You know, why are you vegan? We're supposed to be apex predators. And yet, if there's a bug flies in their hair, they're like, no, get it off. Because they're not really people that have had any contact with nature. So there's not a part of them which is at all predatory.
Connected,
They're not predatory. You know, they've just been told that that's what they are. They've been told that, therefore they think it's true. But it's not. If they were to face reality, it's not the truth.
Yes. Also, it's not easy to kill, hunt animal. You know, you think you go to supermarket, buy part of already for you killed animal flesh, and you think how easy it is to kill some animal. Well, maybe cow, if you go to cow house and they're on a chain, that's easy to kill. But in the wild, it's very difficult. We once watched a documentary about some African tribe and about their food, how they actually surviving, because they live in a desert or semi-desert. And all men from the little tribe, they went for a hunt. It took them about a week to get one animal.
It's not easy. You can trap animals and get them, but there are ways you can trick.
Even if you're trapping them, it's not easy to trap animals.
No.
Animals are not stupid.
No. Anyway, I think that this goes back to the question that I've answered before about whether or not we're omnivorous. I made a video about that, explaining that it's really not our nature, much as some may argue that we're omnivorous as a species, but we're really frugivorous.
Yes.
And we don't have to be looking to nature as a role model for us. Our role as a species is to be the role model for others, not the other way around. So ignore what they're doing. I say this to everybody, just forget what's going on in nature. Follow your own heart.
Follow yourself own. Your own self. Also, I want to answer the question, why is it that way? Because we feel it's wrong. Why this world is set up in a way we have to look at those things and cry if you're really sensitive. And I was avoiding such things because my father had rabbits and chickens, and he used to kill them, and we used to eat it. I ate it as a child because even I knew they're there, and I knew they getting killed. I was avoiding that scene altogether. I was just like ignoring it because I didn't know what to do with it. I was confused in a way about it, but I wasn't fully aware what's really going on. And when I was very little kid, I imagined nothingness. And I imagined it so hard that I could really feel it. And I was thinking about nothingness. That started because I thought of death. And I thought how death must be like. I think it's like nothingness. I think when I die, there is totally nothing. And I tried to imagine it, and I felt such a fear from that death imagination in my mind. And all my life, I never wanted to die, never. Till today, I feel like I wish I don't have to die. And only because I started reading Bible, I got understanding why there is a death on the earth. And I learned it should not be. This is complex, big story. But true is, this is not our home. Our home was Garden of Eden. Eve ate the apple. Persuade Adam eat the apple. It was like this. Devil persuade Eve to eat apple with his cunning lie. He said, have this apple. It's so tasty. You're going to love it. And Eve said to the devil, our God, our maker, he told us we should not eat from this tree. We can eat from all trees, but not this one. And the devil said to the Eve, he said, God, he is just lying to you. He doesn't want you to know the truth, because once you eat from this tree, you will know the truth. You will know the life and death. Actually, God said, I forgot to say, when God said to Adam and Eve, don't eat from this tree, he said, if you eat from it, you will die. And this is what happened. We are dead. We are dead here on a dead planet with a lot of predators everywhere. That's why almost everything kills everything. And the ones who don't kill, they have to constantly watch their backs. And this is not only physical, this is mental. People who are really nice, they often get abused and used by people who pretend being nice, but they're not nice. And they use those people to their own gain, whatever it is. So I learned there is much better future for us because devil got the upper hand after Adam and Eve got the apple, and they get kicked out from the Garden of Eden. And Garden of Eden, the entrance to it is guided, so nobody can go back because of what we done as to humanity. We still suffer from it till today. We still have to endure the death. Even we want to live, we have to watch death around us. Some people even eat the dead flesh of the other creatures. And in reality, this earth is going to be destroyed. This is the prophecies which I believe. I believe in prophets, what's written by the prophets. This earth is going to be destroyed, and God will create a new earth, because God said, I made a mistake, and the mistake is already fixed, but is not seen yet. Only people who have a knowledge can see it. So I want to say that the biggest downfall of humanity in my eyes and in my understanding is that humans refused the truth. Because actually, believe it or not, in the Bible, there is the truth. And only God can give you understanding of what is written there. So if you read it once, or you read just part and say it's bullshit, you don't know what you're reading. And that's why you're saying that. Because it's not one sentence, it's a big book. And it's all really synchronized together. It's so amazing. Once you get to know that book, if you start reading it and you read it for a while, you don't give up, you will learn how genius that is. And it would be impossible be written such a text by any human. It's impossible. If you know the book, you would see it. But unfortunately, the humans, in the power of the religion, they destroy the truth. And therefore, the Bible was thrown in the gutter. Today, most people, everybody I spoke to, even people who go to church, don't read the Bible. And even they didn't read it, they telling me it's rewritten, full of lies, full of rubbish, brainwash. Everything wrong you can think of, I will hear about the Bible. But I never met in a real person nobody who will tell me, you know, you're right. I now getting contact with some people online who do read actually Bible and get the understanding from it. But it's so rare. So we are confused, therefore we don't know what's going on. And that's why the dead have the upper hand on the earth. No mother is happy if her child dies. Never, ever. Show me one mother whose child dies and she's going to rejoice about it. And then you can tell me the death is perfectly fine. It's natural. It's not. It's not meant for us. We were created to live forever. And you can find that if you search for it easily, that information. And that ability is somehow disconnected in our DNA. Okay? So we are created to live forever. This is the power of God, power of life. The death is power of devil, power of end, of finish. And that's why Jesus came with resurrection. He showed us the God have a power to resurrect the death into life. So where is your power, devil? Where is it? Even we have to die now, we will be resurrected. And we will be judged by God, by our actions. And if you have a clean conscience, you can confidently stand on the front of God. You don't have to be afraid of judgment. People know in their heart. People who are supposed to be afraid, they know in their heart, tell them, be afraid. They don't even understand why, but they have ugly feelings in their soul when they do wrong things. That's my belief.
Fredka and I, we generally agree about most things. And I suppose fundamentally, eventually we have an agreement about pretty much everything. But these particular things that she's talking about, we don't fully agree on. I do have a different perspective of God. I do have a different perspective on death, as it were. I don't see it as inherently evil, I suppose. But I do see that there will be a new world at a certain point. And I'm not necessarily talking, as Kritka thinks, about a new planet that's made for us. I just see a vision of a better world, a paradisical world that we can live in. And I think that has to come about through the change of the individual. We have to, as individuals, be the 100th monkey. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of 100 monkeys, but it's about some monkeys living on an island, and one of them one day starts to wash his potato in the river, and none of the monkeys had done this before. But after a while, they all start washing their potatoes, and suddenly it reaches a point where there's so many of them doing it that everybody's doing it. And not only the monkeys on that particular island, but monkeys on other islands that aren't even connected with them start doing it. And I think that this is what critical mass is, that if we can truly evolve as individuals, we can evolve the collective. And the collective being not only our own species, but also the other species out there. I think that will change. And at a certain point in a probably distant future, because I'm not unrealistic about this. I do understand the huge change that this would require. But I also hold a very, very strong belief that the balance of nature as it is now, the violent balance of nature, is not the only way things can be balanced. We live in an universe of infinite possibilities, and to think very narrow-mindedly that this is the only way that things can be is very narrow-minded, because there could theoretically be ways to balance nature that are perfectly harmonious. Now, I know there are people out there that are very adamant that nothing is wrong or right. Things just are as they are. And I've always opposed this idea, because these people that are saying there's nothing wrong or right, if you went along and punched them on their shoulder or in the face, they're going to object because they know that what you're doing is wrong. So I don't really think anybody fully believes what they're saying. They're just using it as an excuse, because this is what people do. I've said it before. People find excuses to behave the way that they want to behave. They come up with all manner of illogical reasoning behind what they're doing. But the truth is, even if you are objecting to the notion that some things are wrong and other things are right, there's definitely can be an agreement that some things harm and some things cause more harmony. And I think that if you can cause more harmony in your life and in the lives of others, then you're doing yourself a favor, and you're doing those beings around you that you're acting more harmoniously with a favor as well. Whereas if you're doing harm to others, then you're doing others a disservice, and you're doing yourself a disservice too. And on this, I believe we're fundamentally in agreement.
Yes, we agree in most of things. And the difference is that Mango believes in reincarnation and I believe in resurrection. And I actually found out this is only two things people in the world believe. You either believe you're going to be reincarnated, or you believe you're going to be resurrected.
No, there's the atheists too. They believe that there's nothing
Well,
at all.
of course, there are people, they believe they buried and that's it. You know, that's the end of everything for them. But what keeps us together, regardless of fundamental difference in this belief, because for me it doesn't matter, because we are connected with love. We both believe in love. We both use our heart to do better in this world for ourselves, our environment, other creatures. And that's what connecting us to love. The love is the essence of the truth. And what form you're going to continue after you die, that's not fully relevant right now, right here. We will see it when it happens. We will know the truth when it happens. I don't have a problem. The other people have a different opinion. I understand. They see things differently and they can't see what I see because where I come from, they never been there.
I want to say also that regardless of what violence there is in the world, it is not the violence that keeps the world going. It is love, because without love, there would be not even violence, which is a strange thing to say.
What do you mean?
I mean that if, for example, let's think of it, the most kind of cold-blooded creatures there are out there that don't really seem to have any empathy for other creatures, like, for example, crocodile. No, I'll talk about the animals rather than humans. But because I want to talk about whole species. Crocodiles, for example, lions, the predator animals, they are cold-blooded and they will kill mercilessly whatever falls in their path, generally speaking. But they have love for their own. If they didn't have love of their own, then they would eat their own babies. You know, they would eat their own lion cubs. Crocodile would eat his own eggs. It's only the fact that they've got love for these animals, that they would care for them and fight for them and try to protect them, that those animals exist. So I'm saying that if they didn't have that, even that tiny little bit of love that they have for their own kind, for their own family, if we were all psychopaths, we wouldn't care about children. Then all of us would be gone. We wouldn't care about babies. We wouldn't care about the next generation. We would just be thinking of ourselves. There's plenty of people that do this. There's animals that maybe would do this too, but especially people that would do this. But majority of us wouldn't. But if we were all like that and we did that, then there wouldn't be any world at all. There wouldn't be any life, because we would all be trying to stab each other before we got stabbed.
Well, it's still happening on a big scale. It's actually, maybe it would have to get worse before it get better, but
yeah,
it's something, this is difficult for me to explain, because as I said, I believe this planet will be destroyed, you know, and when I look at the events in the world, like suddenly earthquakes waking up all over the globe, suddenly so many natural disasters, suddenly big wars, you know, there's a big wars going on in several places, and the media is full of Third World War. And we know we have a nuclear weapons. And not only that, but there is also the storages with nuclear weapons and other dangerous weapons. The human is the most destructive. Animal kills only when he's hungry. Man kills just for the fun of it and to get power, to get you out of their way or whatever reason, for money. Sorry, I just got emotional about this, because it hurts me since I'm a little girl. I see those things. And I always could not understand why this has happened till I read the Bible and got understanding from the Bible. So at least I have understanding. I'm not confused about it. But to see what everything is going on this earth, it's for me difficult to believe. And it allies with the prophecies, I believe. The prophecy says the more you see those things happening, you can see the end of this life on the planet is near. You know, the prophecies are not done only by biblical prophets, they're done by a lot of different people who have a ability to see things, and some of them they come out already, and some of them they will come out.
I want to say that at the end of the day, it really does not matter what you believe about the afterlife or about our origins. None of that is of any real importance. The importance is understanding that you are a spiritual being having a physical existence in this world. You're here temporarily, and what is important is to be following your heart. That is natural. That is natural to follow your heart. If you can follow your heart and do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, then you're moving in the right direction. And it doesn't matter if you're believing something else about what happens afterwards, or who our Savior might be, or how you think God is. If you don't believe in our vision that one day there'll be a better world, however that may be manifested, it's also not important. If you keep following your heart, then you're going to help create a better world. And that's all we can do, really. The important is the now. The important is how you behave as a human being while you're a human being.
And that's our goal. That should be our goal.
Yeah.
To constantly work on ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we do something wrong, apologize. Yeah. And we feel sorry for it. Yeah. We regret it. And ask for forgiveness. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yes.
So I fully agree. We actually agree.
We agree on the fundamentals, and the nitty-gritties. So what, really? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we have a disagreement on certain things.
Exactly.
And we just accept it. We're accepting that we each of us see things differently, but we see things the same as well. We understand that things aren't as they should be. And I think that human beings, as Kritika was just talking about how there's so much war and so much chaos within human society and within the human psyche, collectively speaking. And I think that nature reflects how we are, not the other way around. And a lot of people think that we're reflecting how nature is, but I think that we, as a pivotal species, are the ones that are being reflected by the nature kingdom. And if we can change, if we can become more loving species and follow more our heart, then the world will follow with us. It's waiting. It's impatiently waiting for our wits to grow stronger. I think we've answered the question as best we can.
Of course. Yeah. I think too. I love this actually topic. It's really opening big debate and a lot of question marks. Anyway,
yeah,
we shared with you what we know here, what we believe, what we think. And if you want in the comments, tell us what you believe and what you think.
Yeah, if you've got any more questions about what we're saying, feel free to write them down, give them to us, and we'll be happy to talk about them in a future point. Yeah, just keep those questions coming, because we can never have too many. As Kritika mentioned last week, we did have a list that we somehow lost, so we started writing them again. We're sorry about that. And if you have asked questions to us in the past, longer than a month ago, then please ask them again, because we'll write them down on our new list again that we've got, and we'll get to them eventually. We will get to the questions. We promise you that. We'll try and get an answer to as many as we can. All of them if we can.
All of them. It just takes time,
just time.
We are busy people. We just manage to do once in a week.
Yeah.
Mango does most of the technical things, all of them really.
Yeah.
So, and it's a time consuming and everything. So we have a big land to look after, and a house and ourselves, you know. So
anyway, thank you all for listening. We do appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, we very appreciate you. We appreciate every your comment and new people coming. So our community is growing beautifully. It's slow but steady. And cultivate love in your life, in your heart. Love one another. Love even your enemy. Keep your spirit calm, peaceful, and loving. And if somebody stir your spirit, push your buttons, close the door. Because if somebody wanna harm you deliberately, they don't have a room in your life. And doesn't mean you don't love them. The more you love them, more you close the door. Because that way is that person going thinks why that person closed the door on the front. There is a hope. If you let them in to abuse you, to play silly game with you, then you just feed their needs. Okay, so we love you. Take care. Thank you for everything. And till next time, cultivate love in your heart.